Welcome to the T Podcast. The reason of this show is to bring people and ideas to help create and build your dreams, and also to have a little bit of fun. Today, our guest is the Renaissance Man. This man is the best public speaker. He brings joy to everybody when he comes around. He is also a best-selling author. He's worked in construction, is an FIU professor. This man is a yoga instructor. Dude, I could go on and on. Reading this man's book was a joy. I got so inspired just to read it that I'm just wanting to do things more and more and more because this guy has me inspired. And my guest today is Geno Jaramillo. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Great morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning. I just want people to know who you are because to tell you the truth, I read your book and I'm going to grab the book now. We're going to go over the book because there's so much information in there and you try to teach people so much about just not only public speaking, about finances, how to live life, how to travel, how to do all of these things that inspire people. And I want to know what got you inspired to write that book. Was it the pandemic? What was it? What got you inspired to write it?
The original inspiration is because I want to enhance my public speaking career and I needed a book. Mm-hmm. And I had this kind of working in my mind for a while. Probably 2 years, I had opened it up and said, I'm going to do 30 chapters. I don't know why 30. I just picked 30. And I started putting little snippets together, coming up with the titles of each chapter, and then started telling stories. So it kind of starts with my youth, goes into my mid-years, my crisis years, my rebound years, and how I'm thriving now. And actually I was challenged by a fellow Toastmaster who is a speaker, who's an author as well. And she said, every time she saw me, Geno, when are you going to finish your book? When's the launch? When are you going to finish your book? When are you going to...
So who's that?
That's Berta Medina, which you
yes,
had on your show.
Yes.
Yeah, she challenged me to finish it, and of
Good.
course took advantage of the pandemic to finish. And I launched it on my 65th birthday right here in Doral at Providence at the Blue, Doral, right when the pandemic was happening. It was like the first and last event that happened there.
Wow. That is amazing. I want to go out. We have so much to cover. I want to just hit some target points that I enjoyed reading. And tell me a little bit about Renaissance Man. Why did you call yourself that? What inspired you to call yourself that and put that in your book?
It has to do also with the Purple Squirrel, which I don't want to get into too much right now. It's a candidate that meets all the qualifications, experience, and knowledge.
But explain what this Purple Squirrel is, because what happens is when people get up here and they introduce you as the Purple Squirrel, they don't really understand the meaning of it. Maybe you could tell us what that means, and you could. I mean, I think you put it on your book. Your book is, hashtag Purple Squirrel Speaks. Yeah. So what is it? Tell me a little bit about how you came up with that name.
When I was looking for a color for my business, I came across purple, and I Googled it, and it was a Wikipedia article about purple, how it related to wisdom and creativity and knowledge and all the things that I identified with. So I said, purple, that's it, because in high school I was in soccer and band, and my uniform was purple and white. So it's perfect, and purple's kind of universal. It's nobility, it's royalty.
What school was that in Purple?
Southwest Miami Senior High.
I was going to say Southwest, but I wasn't sure. I was like, Southwest,
It's just such a regal color. Everybody identifies with it. Everybody loves it. I wear purple all the time. It's real easy.
Yeah. So
the article about purple, at the very end of the article, said Purple Squirrel. And what is that? And I read it, and it said, it's a term used by employment recruiters to describe that elusive candidate that meets all the qualifications, experience, and knowledge for a certain job position. The idea is that employers over-specify the job position, and it makes it as hard or as rare to find that candidate as a purple squirrel. It doesn't exist. It's like a unicorn.
Yeah.
I identified with that rareness because electrical engineer, have an MBA, was a computer engineer, a real estate developer, I flipped burgers. I sold knives. I work in the construction business.
You brought checkers over
brought
here.
checkers too. It's still there today,
Yeah.
107th Bird Road.
Yeah.
I did yoga instruction. You know, when you get to be my age, if you're not the most interesting man in the world, you led a failed life. So it's life. It's my life that has happened to me. That's why I went with Renaissance Man. It identifies with that rareness of the purple squirrel, because some people just do one thing their whole life. And what I preach to my students and to people that I speak to is that it's okay to change careers. It's okay to move from one to another and take those skills you've learned in one and transfer them to other jobs.
Yeah. I love the way you came up with the purple squirrel, and now I actually could relate, and I understand what it means, because when you're up here, and of course we're in the Doral Toastmasters, the best club in the world, you know, but when you come up here and I first met you, it was purple, and I wasn't sure what it meant, but now it makes sense, and it's completely awesome how you came up with that whole idea, and now how you transformed yourself from, you know, a regular person to, hey, I'm the purple squirrel, I am the man, and you are, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
The public speaking, what got you into public speaking? Because I have a bunch of questions, and one of them is, why public speaking? How did you even get into that? And tell us how, you know, what a DTM is. Give us just that whole scenario so people could understand how important it is, Toastmasters, and how you came about to.
Well, the whole public speaking thing, when I look back on my life, the formal beginning was South Dade Toastmasters. I was the chief administrative officer of a construction company, and they put me in charge of training. They said, hey, we need public speaking courses. And in my research, I found out that a course doesn't make you a public speaker. You have to practice. The office was right near South Miami. They used to meet at a restaurant there every Wednesday morning, and I committed. After 3 months of visiting, I had brought like 8 members, so they volunteered me to be the president. And I was the president. Why did I choose to be the president? Just like when I became a yoga instructor, it was a commitment. And I said, I'm going to be here every Wednesday to kick off the meeting and preside the meeting. And that gave me the practice to keep going. And in the meantime, I worked on my speeches, I worked on my manuals. Being president is one requirement. Being an area director, which now you're an area director, thank you for doing that. Those 2 requirements are the 2 hardest requirements, and then the rest was speeches and a couple other sundry projects.
Right.
And that led me to getting the highest educational award, which is Distinguished Toastmaster. And it goes along with everything that I've done in my life. I am the eldest son of 6 siblings, and I've always taught them. I was always their mentor. And then when I was coming out, I did some training for the knives. I worked for Cutco for vector marketing, and I trained college students on how to sell knives and how to get out there and do it. So I think that was a little bit of public speaking. And then I did the yoga instruction. I would get in front of 40 people and have to give them very precise instructions. So all along, I have been practicing this public speaking.
You just didn't know.
I didn't know that it was public speaking until it was formalized with Toastmasters.
Right.
And then, of course, my adjunct professorship at FIU.
Right.
That's public speaking, and I
Absolutely.
grew to love it. I've been at it for 8 years now, and everywhere I go, I preach it. I see that Warren Buffett says it's the #1 skill to boost your career. He said
Carnegie, he went to the Carnegie School.
He went to the Dale Carnegie School. Yeah. He removed his fear of public speaking. The fear is called glossophobia. 75% of the population has it. How do you get rid of the fear? By practicing.
Right.
So I encourage people to practice. We invite our students over here to join us at a meeting and become members and to practice this incredible skill which not many people have.
Right.
And that's been my drive. That's been my calling, if you will.
Yeah, there's a quote in your book, and I might botch it, but it has to do with you lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, that whole old saying. But you also say that you try to you just give them enough information, and hopefully some will drink and some won't. I love that quote, how you put it together, and maybe you could tell me the exact quote, but it's true that you could lead. You start bringing in all these people, and then you start seeing some people stay with it, some people leave, and I love how you put that in the book. Tell me, explain to me, because since you help so many people, and not a lot of people see it or know about that you bring people in here and you try to teach them everything that they can to become a great speaker and work on their speech. And tell me why that inspired you to put that quote in your book.
It has to do with mentorship, one of the top 5 soft skills that I like to preach about. It's a keynote that I came up with. And I made this observation because I would tell everybody, I was so excited about it. Hey, come to Toastmaster, come to Toastmaster. And then they wouldn't come. And I'm like, what's going on? So I figured out, okay, I'm going to lead them to it. And if they don't come, that's their loss, not mine.
Right.
So I came up with that quote of, I've led a lot of horses to water. But since I cannot discern which ones will drink or not, I lead them all to the water.
There you go.
Then my fellow professor, Brent, came up with a corollary, which is make them thirsty first. And that goes back to your point of give them enough information so they get thirsty and they seek more. Because it does have to be self-propelled. It has to come from inside you.
Right.
I can't force you to speak in public if you are terrified, if you get nervous, if you wet your pants when you're thinking about public speaking. That's why I came up with that.
Yeah, they say that you could tell somebody, hey, this is how you make money, or this is how you become successful, and you could tell them, you could put it in their plate, and they don't do it, and you don't understand why. You're like, I'm telling you that this is how you do it, and they still won't drink the water. It's crazy. Yeah. But I guess everybody has to have their routine and their way of getting to that point, and some people may not want to learn, but it's just a mystery to me.
I always ask people, hey, can you describe to me what milk tastes like? And milk, it tastes like milk. What's that? They can't describe what milk tastes like.
Right.
And that's a corollary to what I say, that they got to taste it for themselves.
Yeah.
The other thing I say is the teacher appears when the student is ready.
Absolutely.
And I've had that. I tried to teach people, but the student's not ready.
Right, yeah. That does, I've heard that a lot, and I love that you bring it up. That's awesome. The other thing that on your book was add value. Tell me how somebody could add value and become better at their job, or how you would advise somebody about value.
Yeah. The little anecdote I have about that is one day our server went down. I was at a remote office, the construction office, and I went with a young engineer to the server room to troubleshoot the problem. But in the room, I saw that the room was a bit messy. There was plastic bags everywhere, there was wire, and I love wire. That's part of my artist in me. So I started collecting the wire, throwing away the bags, and the kid looks at me kind of puzzled, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm adding value. Wherever you go, add value. Make the world better wherever you go. So if you go to a place and you see garbage and you can pick it up, why not pick it up? Make the world better."
Yeah.
Now, how do you add value to your company? By adding value to yourself first. Gain the skills. Gain that, either the hard skills, knowing your computer and hardware and your business, or the soft skills, the public speaking, the leadership, mentoring, emotional intelligence. Learn those things so that you become more valuable. And then that adds value to the company.
Right. Yeah.
And they'll see that, and you'll get promoted.
Yeah, and that's where you make more money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me, with Toastmasters, people think that it's just about public speaking, and in reality it's not. It's more about leadership. Tell me a little bit about the leadership and how you've become more of a leader because of Toastmasters.
Well, here's the thing about Toastmasters. Their tagline says, "Where leaders are made." I'm not sure if it's up here somewhere. And a lot of people have an issue with that because they think it's a public speaking venture. What I tell people is the famous John Kennedy quote: ask not what Toastmasters can do for you, ask what you can do for Toastmasters. And then that doing for Toastmasters, watch the person that you become. What does it require? Yes, it requires you speaking. It requires you doing impromptu speaking. It requires you maybe be a club officer or a district officer and help other people. There's people that come here, they have no idea. This one girl cracked a joke. She thought that Toastmaster was the place you come to make toast. Where's the toaster? She said. So there's many opportunities to choose whatever you want out of Toastmasters.
Right.
But you got to put into it. You want to be a leader? You can be a club officer. You want to be a district leader. You can lead other people just quietly by giving them little tips, little feedback for them. That leadership just oozes out of me now. It's like innate. There's no other choice for me. It's like I have to lead.
Yeah.
Why? Because, damn, I have 47 years of experience. I got 67 on this planet. I've got too much experience and I want to pass it on.
Yeah, no,
That's the initials DTM, or Distinguished Toastmaster. I changed it to Devoted to Mentoring because that's what I love to do.
No, you do. You do an awesome job at that. And I want people to know that you're not only a great speaker, you also, this guy could sell. He said, and I went to a networking event and this guy sold everybody. He speaks to everybody. It's a treat to watch you just go in there and do your thing. And I learned a lot when we went to that networking event. And I thank you for that because that was cool times and really nice.
My pleasure, T. It's so great to have somebody follow me and in my footsteps and observe and gain knowledge. That's my reward.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wanna just try to wrap it up because I don't want to keep it too long. Tell me what advice you would give a young entrepreneur that might not be he's just so young that he doesn't know what to do. What advice would you give him, and how would you mentor that person? And hopefully that would help somebody maybe join Toastmasters or could get them, push them a little further or get them to open up that business. Because there's a lot of people that want to open up a business, but they're scared. What advice would you give? Because you've done it all. I mean, from entrepreneurship to building to, I mean, you name it, you've done it. I mean, people have to pick up this book and read it because there's so much knowledge in here, and you could give them, and the wisdom that you bring, it's just amazing. What would you give to that person that needs that push to start that business?
Wow, that's a super difficult question, and I thought about it while you're asking it. I would say there's a philosophy that I learned in Toastmasters, which is I said yes to every opportunity. They asked me to be president, I was president. They asked me to be the area director, I did it. What's this thing called DTM? Do it. So it's saying yes to opportunities. So when people come to you with an opportunity, say, hey, you should join this public speaking class and go check it out. Be curious. That's the other part of it. So go all in and be curious. For my first 3 or 4 years of Toastmasters, I kept discovering things about Toastmasters. I didn't know what area was, division, district, region, international conference. I've been to an international convention and it was amazing. I kept discovering things about Toastmasters. I visited a club in Colombia, 2 clubs actually, one in Spanish, one in English. I gave a speech there in Spanish, my first one ever. So it's curiosity and going all in. When you do something, do it with everything you got. Don't put your foot in the water and see if the temperature is good. You just dive in.
That's the best analogy you could give right there. Go all in. That's what he says all the time. Go all in. And he makes sure that he tells everybody that you're voluntold, because if you don't want to step up, he makes you step up. I tell you, you need to get this book. This book is amazing. It has so much knowledge in here, and you need to get it for sure. You could get it on Amazon, right?
Kindle and Amazon, and I'm working on the Spanish version right now.
Oh, good. And we're gonna work on getting the Audible on there too.
On the Audible,
you know,
as well.
Maybe I
A
can
lot of
help
people
you.
have asked me for that.
Maybe I could help you,
Thank you.
with the Audible part of it, and
Appreciate
then
it.
you know get that going. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna thank you so much for
It's my
being
pleasure.
on the show. Thank you,
Thank you,
for
T.
all your wisdom and all your knowledge. And hopefully, if you need somebody to speak, right here's the man. He could speak at any event. He's a great teacher, and I think that you wouldn't be disappointed. Thank you again, Geno.
Thanks, D.
All right, brother.
Love you, man.
Love you, brother.